the west coast of Africa. This was the heart of the slave trade, before being carved up by competing colonial powers. Independent for half a century, it's now known for dictators, child soldiers and civil war. But things could be about to change. Nigeria has long been the great hope of West Africa. Hugely rich after the discovery of oil, many believe it will be the first African nation to emerge from the all too familiar pattern of dictatorship, violence and poverty. But driving through Lagos, Nigeria's largest city, it's difficult to see anywhere that's benefited from the oil billions. Sharing the traffic jam with me was Makin, whose dad is the Nobel Prize-winning author Wole Soyinka.
When people speak about Lagos, they get a bit excited. At times, positively excited, and at times negatively. But really, nobody's indifferent to Lagos.
The negatives say that Nigeria is like apartheid South Africa, massively rich and dirt poor. The only difference here is that the ruling elite is black. So from my 8th floor balcony, I can see loads of ships coming and going 24 hours a day from Lagos. Oil accounts for 90% of Nigeria's exports, and it's supposed to have generated over $300 billion in revenue so far. And just down the coast, if I look left a bit from the ships, I can see a huge shanty town. And I know I'm being very simplistic, but you'd have thought that the money generated from them would get rid of them. But it's not simplistic to think that the billions of dollars generated from the oil would guarantee basics like clean water or 24-hour day electricity. And we've got mud-coloured water in the bathroom, and there are power cuts every single day. To see the source of all this wealth, we drove to the Niger Delta in the south. Locals say that far from seeing benefits from the discovery of oil, lives and communities have actually been destroyed by it. People like Ankyo Aporum Briggs are battling the oil companies. All the major ones are here, but Nigerians have to queue for hours to buy petrol, which is hugely expensive. The pipes the companies use to take the oil away run underground. Many say they are old, eroded and burst regularly, with terrible consequences. The Ogbodo community say that their only source of water was devastated 2.5 years ago.
Good morning.
When a Shell pipeline burst and polluted an area that stretched for miles. This is it, the black on the leaves?
Yeah, the black on the leaves is the fruit. And this is drinking water, we're bathing water.
So the spill occurred on the 25th day of June 2001 in the midnight. So by the time we woke up in the morning, we met our stream, our source of drinking water, burning. The first time we saw water burning, you know, maybe because of...
McPherson used to be a fisherman here.
So we now went to Shell to report, and it took Shell about a week, 7 days, to be able to put out the fire.
It is them that burnt that place to stop the spillage from further extension.
The leak was set on fire intentionally or by accident?
Intentionally they put it to stop the spillage from further spread.
So people had no option but to start to begin to drink this water again, you know, to survive.
And how many people do you think are affected by this?
40,000 persons.
40,000?
Yeah.
So it's the whole local community, the whole surrounding area?
Yeah, the whole local community, yeah.
Since then, have Shell offered any compensation?
No, they have not.
Has anybody become sick after drinking the water?
Yes, a lot of people have been dying because of this water.
Dying?
Yeah, people die.
So since the spill, you've
Since
noticed
since-
sudden deaths among people.
Suddenly there's so many people since the spill.
But have any doctors been here and actually given a cause of death?
Because of the level of poverty, you know, they cannot go to the doctor for autopsy, you know, so they just die and they take it in good faith and bury.
After the discovery of oil, locals believed the money would soon spread, and traditional industries like palm oil were left to ruin.
Either the government or even Shell wants to assist this community, just because for assistance sake. They can set it up, refurbish it, if not refurbish it, replace it, and then the community will have a source of income. We now don't export palm oil, we actually import palm oil, as we do so many other things that we need.
Including petrol?
Including petrol, including petrol, which is sick because we are the 6th largest producers of oil in the world. And therefore, this area, the Niger Delta area, the oil producing area, is the 6th largest indigenous people that produce oil in the world. And yet, we are the most undeveloped, most poor. We are very poor and very neglected.
The locals showed me a settlement they had reached with Shell. So Shell and their associates agree to the following. They shall assist the community with water borehole.
It's not functioning at all.
So they also agreed to provide first aid kits and donate drugs to the community health centre on a one-off basis.
We came with some nurses from Shell to come and attend to some people for 8 days.
8 days.
The nurses left the community.
Shell shall provide desks for the primary school in the community. 100 desks, 6 tables or chairs, 1 cupboard and 1 shelf to be completed in 2001.
I wish if there is an opportunity, we can take you to the school. You will see that you can't see anything like that.
Nothing has been done.
Shell shall provide the youths in the community with a set of football kits.
That is funny.
So the grand total of the Memorandum of Understanding is nurses for 8 days who didn't diagnose patients and a football kit for 1 team?
For one team.
For one team. For one team.
1 kit for 1 team. So this is the only primary school in the community?
This is the only primary school.
So Shell haven't sent all the stuff to another primary school?
No, they have not done that.
We're looking for
For the chair.
100 desks, 6 tables and chairs, 1 cupboard and 1 shelf. And this is actually a functioning school now?
Yeah.
People are studying here?
At times they sit on the ground, they sit on the floor.
They sit on the ground. They sit on the floor to learn.
Donated by airport, but not share.
Okay. Donated in 1997 by the Equals Club. This would be the perfect place for the shelf.
Yes, perhaps.
The shelf would look good along there.
Yes.
We did ask Shell for an interview, but they said that they didn't think our kind of project was the correct forum to discuss the issues of the Niger Delta, and that they didn't think they would come out of a project like ours looking good.
That's the situation we find ourselves in today. If war will bring peace to Nigeria, let there be war. It's written there. I don't know who wrote it. It's anonymous, but we can read it.
Shell told me that 2.5 years later, the water project is near completion. The procurement of the classroom furniture has commenced. A payment of $239 has been made to the fisherman McPherson, and negotiations with others continue. They also say they don't start fires, they try to put them out.
This is unbelievable. I can't believe it.
We'd stumbled across a fresh leak. It's massive. We thought it was just this small area here, which is about 18 metres by 40 metres, but it spreads for just as far as you can see there. The whole forest has been burnt to ashes. See that there? It's about I don't know, 500-600 meters as far as you can see. It looks like something out of Mad Max.
It was on fire for 5 days before it was put off. It's still smoldering. Yes, you can actually see it. Actually, yes, you can see the
And
smoke.
based on past experience, you think Shell will come here, clamp the pipe, leave.
They've done with it now. They're finished. That's it. That's it. They've gone. It's finished. It's all over. So the mess you're seeing here now, the villagers have to live with it, and the environment has to cope as much as it can. So what? Now from here you pass go your farm.
I take the other side. As this side then near, now he make I say make I take this side. See all my body, all the thing where we plant at Ibogo, the all it don't spoil, all finish.
Everything they farm, yam, cassava, this.
Our firewood we call engine people. Then cut firewood for bush. We pack and all. Don't catch fire finish. I don't know.
Everything they put in the ground to harvest, everything is gone.
Is it weekly occurrence, monthly?
It's a daily occurrence all over the place.
Shell say they tried to put out the fire, but locals stopped the fire trucks and have not allowed them to get to the site. A deal has now been done, and they say they hope a clean-up can start.
That's a goat, I think. I didn't make it. What she's saying is you can see puddles as thick as this for as far as there are burnt trees. So actually the leakage, because the pipes are at least 6 feet underground, when it leaks it spreads through the earth for ages before it comes up to the surface and before people notice there's actually a spill. So it could have leaked as far as the fire damage spreads. What's incredible is we didn't come here because we heard there was a leak. We came here because it was an oil-producing region, and by chance we've stumbled across this.
Crude oil is sinking right deep down into the soil
Because it's so dry.
because it's so dry and it's cracked up, so it's going to sink in.
And then
when
the
the
rainy
water,
season
that's
comes
right,
again,
when it comes
it's gonna
again,
spread.
it's going to spread, and so this damage is going to last for a very, very, very long time. They can't clean it up. You can see that this is impossible.
The north of Nigeria is predominantly Muslim. Kano is not far from the site of the recent Miss World riots, where around 250 people were killed. The regular violence here is often attributed to religious tensions. But just like the south, there's no sign of the oil money.
Arrived in Kano State in northern Nigeria, one of the 12 northern states that's introduced Sharia law. But we've also passed 2 or 3 churches, lots of posters advertising Christian churches, lots of fly posters advertising Christian churches, a few women without headdresses, so things certainly don't seem as tense as they were 10 years ago here when thousands of people were getting killed in religious and ethnic violence. Not a very Islamic Christmas tree in the reception of the hotel. I'm already starting to think that actually these so-called religious wars aren't religious wars at all. The Christians here are Igbos, the Muslims here are Hausas, and it seems like it's ethnic violence rather than religious violence. And the religious connection, the religious split is incidental.
Out on the streets, our guide Mackin was getting increasingly nervous.
I want to try and be as inconspicuous as possible here.
What's the problem with filming here? They're just nervous of the camera.
A little nervous about the camera. At times they feel you're filming their women, which they get very sensitive about.
Other West African countries I'd been to can blame war for the absolute lack of basic services. Nigeria hasn't had a war since 1970. Everyone here thinks the money has been siphoned off into secret European bank accounts. They have nothing. No sewerage, no electricity. And they're not happy.
We are ready for the revolution because we cannot end up like that. Myself, I went to school, I have a good result, but I have no job doing. Look at me now working on this.
These guys describe themselves as political hooligans.
So what happened in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast could happen here?
Probably because we cannot remain like this. We cannot remain like this in the night. NEPA, no light. Pipe-borne water, no water. Some of our leaders, they are chopping our money, doing all sorts of things with our money. I'm old already. Look at my head, I'm old already. I'm old already. You see, they said this is a fungal infection. I went to the hospital, they told me that I need money in order even to treat myself.
If you saw money coming here and being spent, and if there were jobs, you could then live side by side with Christians and different ethnic groups and there'd be no problem. The key issue is jobs.
It's jobs. If there is job, a good job, there is social amenities, there will be no any problem.
Suddenly there was a commotion.
Keep on your walk.
The guy back there, when we were talking, why did he try and throw a rock?
He's one of the hooligans.
Why?
Yeah, he's ready to fight because he's annoyed with the situation he is. He's not happy about the situation.
Well, why did he want to throw a rock at us?
No, he cannot stun you. He cannot stun you. He cannot stun you.
He got quite close to it.
He cannot stun you. The problem in this country, look at this. People are living there. Just imagine that house. Just imagine. You see? There we are all citizens. All our money is taken away, being extravagant, cheating us. We are not happy about that. They were cheating them, but they leave them doing nothing.
One of the few things functioning was the local Quranic school.
We are training them in order to protect the image of Islam. After protecting the image of Islam, they can be like Osama bin Laden, so that to defend Islam in any circumstances. We are ready to put Nigeria. We don't want anybody to go and tamper with our religion. That is why we bring somebody like this boy. Somebody like this boy to learn Quran as very small like this. When he learns the Quran, he will know the knowledge of Islam, the knowledge of Muhammadanism. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So, Osama bin Laden is a hero, although he knew nothing about the September 11th attacks. They will fight to the death for Saddam Hussein, and the man the Americans have caught recently is not Saddam Hussein. And we almost got stoned. It's the same problem with every country we've been to. It's thousands of really angry young men who, either educated or uneducated, think they've got no chance of getting a decent job whatsoever.
Even under Sharia law, the churches that exist in Kano remain largely undisturbed, but efforts to expand have been blocked. This Anglican church, blessed by the Archbishop of Canterbury, has remained a skeleton for over 20 years after pressure from the neighbouring mosque. When Sharia was adopted, it was promised that it wouldn't affect non-Muslims.
What about when Sharia law was introduced here?
It affected the life of the Christians somehow also. How did it? Let me give you just one example. You wake up in the morning, you and your wife, going to the same church, slept in the same house, maybe in the same bed. She is your wife. You left the house with her, and you get to the bus stop to enter a bus and go to the church. And they now say to you, no, this bus is meant for the women. Therefore, you cannot enter. Your wife can go, you can wait behind until your own bus comes. Supposing the bus do not come. So, in a way, it affected the Christians because that actually happened. And those who insisted and said, no, I must go with my wife, some of them were beaten up.
Sharia was introduced here in the late 90s, and although it's caused some problems for the Christians, the headlines have always been about punishments for Muslims. 9 have been sentenced to death by stoning, but so far, none of the sentences have been carried out.
It's like the Amin al-Awal case. Amin al-Awal was the woman who was convicted of adultery and was sentenced to stoning. She was going to be stoned to death for committing adultery. She was recently let off on appeal, and when you first hear about that, you think, oh, fantastic, what a rational, forward-thinking, modern solution to our problem. Then you read the reasons why she got off, and they were because there weren't 4 male witnesses to the fornication. There weren't 3 judges at the original hearing, just 1. She didn't confess 3 times, she only confessed once. And according to some interpretations of Sharia law, there is such a thing as a sleeping embryo. And the embryo can sleep for as long as 5 years before it gestates. So it could have actually been her husband who impregnated her in the first place.
Local imams are also blocking a World Health Organization program that has almost eradicated polio from Nigeria. They claim the vaccine, called OPV, is a Western anti-fertility drug that also spreads AIDS. Muslim WHO workers were embarrassed by the claims and hoped that a government white paper would clear things up.
People are saying you have not addressed our felt needs. Why are you bringing OPV vaccine to our doorstep? Someone's problem is malaria or measles or HIV or poverty. You have not addressed that. I haven't seen you addressing that. And you are saying this is my problem. Polio is my problem. And he is saying polio is not my problem, it's poverty.
So people are saying that because you're not addressing my main needs, when you come addressing a particular need, then I don't believe you're being benevolent. I believe you have some evil plan.
Yeah, most thank you.
Good luck. I hope the white paper. Hope the white paper comes out soon.
It will favour us. Yes.
I'm sure it'll favour you. I just hope people believe it.
The white paper has come out, and it's cleared OPV as safe, but the imams are still blocking the World Health Organization program.
We've just had our first predicted visit from the state security services, who made it very clear that while they weren't hassling us, they would like to know everybody we've spoken to, everybody we plan to speak to, and they would like photocopies of our passports and visas. We had to go and get the photocopies. We didn't have all the correct paperwork, but we managed to talk our way out of that one fairly easily, and there wasn't a request for a bribe, which was a surprise, a pleasant surprise. We'd been told to expect to have to give out daily bribes. We were going to start the week with a pile of cash, of our bribe kitty, and see how long it lasted. And we didn't think it would last a week, but actually there have been very few requests for bribes, and when there have been requests for bribes, it's been fairly easy to talk our way out of it. You just. So while I was telling you that the visit from the State Security Service went fairly well, I've just had a call saying somebody else from the State Security Service is in reception and would like to have a word with me. I hope it's just a request for the bribe. We'll see. He was difficult. He's convinced that we've come in illegally, and as a result he's going to confiscate our cameras and all our tapes. He's going to come back and see us before we leave tomorrow morning, but he's going to struggle to do that because we're leaving at 5:30 a.m. Our local guy here, the guy who's helping us out, said, listen, they're just looking for money. They're operators, basically, is what he said. But we'll see. Unless they come and raid the place during the night, then I think we should get out of this place okay. We've got to make it to the state border before the cops get us.
Fugitives.
Back in the predominantly Christian South, ever-expanding churches are not a problem. There are so many churches the competition for worshippers is fierce. And this being Nigeria, the most popular churches are those that promise you enormous wealth. So
we've just had a few opening speeches and songs, and someone got up and said it's testimony time. So it's people saying what the church has done for them.
I want to stand here to thank the God that holds the keys of life and death in his hands for what he has done.
David Oyedepo's Faith Tabernacle regularly attracts over 70,000 believers who are told that if they give their most precious possessions to God, they will eventually be repaid tenfold.
That's going to be your song all through the year 2004.
The bishop says he made painful financial sacrifices years ago, and today he's been blessed with beautiful houses and a fleet of luxury cars.
Thank you so much, Lord Jesus.
Everyone put cash into envelopes, and we could guess what that would be spent on.
Thank you so much, Lord.
But I didn't know what God would do with videos, TVs, and luggage. It was clear that the best way to guarantee getting out more than you put in is to start your own church. But it wasn't all about money. If you gave to this church in particular, God could help you with cheating husbands, crime, even, they said, a cure for AIDS.
Thank you. So you have the before and after test here?
Yes, before and after test. This is okay. People even go to 2 clinics. Yeah. They go to 2 hospitals to actually confirm the power of God in their lives. And it's there. They go there, it's negative.
Yeah.
And here, it's negative.
God can cure AIDS?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
So why are there 49 million people with AIDS?
Because they've not discovered the way out yet, which is what the bishop is talking about. God has sent him.
This is what I struggle to understand. If someone doesn't believe in God, if they've never heard of God, then they'll die of AIDS. They won't be cured, even though the cure is available.
Well, that's why God desires for all to hear.
And that's why there are so many churches, like you said. They're trying to spread the word, get it out that there's a God who heals, there's a God who delivers, and if you would want to be, you can be.
And if none of them become enlightened, then they're going to die a slow and painful death.
No, they don't have to. God is merciful. He has a way of reaching out to them.
The bishop is also a prolific author.
Hope you don't mind?
Yeah, no problem. It's still readable, so thank you. Do we need to buy these?
No, I'm not selling to you. I'm giving you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
At one point he says you shouldn't give to the poor, because to give to somebody else more than you give to God would be a great crime. So he says you should instead of giving to the poor, you should give to God. And of course the way to give to God is by giving to his church, specifically his church. So when you give, for example, a television, as we saw people doing to the church, supposedly you're somehow giving that television to God. We don't actually know what happens to the television after it's been given to the church. In one case, he even says that he himself gave a Mercedes-Benz to God. So I don't know what God did with a Mercedes-Benz.
If attending church costs a fortune in Nigeria, I should have guessed that our next stop, a tiny slave museum, also required deep pockets.
Let's take pictures. So why wouldn't they let us take pictures?
Well, that there's a fee to be charged.
Right.
And it's just doing us a favor by charging that fee. So I thought his fee was ridiculously high.
Okay.
Us to pay half.
It was the same at the next stop of our historical tour. After lengthy negotiations, I finally got to see inside Nigeria's first ever two-storey building.
So there's a familiar pattern developing here. There's a problem, you cannot film, but I can help you.
This is their sitting room, where they are living.
The curator was also helpful with historical facts.
This is the first saving bank.
It's from West Bromwich.
It's established 1856. In England? In England,
Yeah.
1856. These are the engines of the door since 1842. And also this bamboo has been here since 1845. And this is the roof. On top of the roof is since 1842. This is Yoruba Bible, 1845-1846. This is hanger since 1845.
Bookshelf, 1845.
Yes. And also this thing has been here since 1845.
But plenty of Nigerians have rejected the blind pursuit of wealth and attacked the system of corruption that's been endemic here since independence. The most famous of them is the musician Fela Kuti, who never stopped criticising his country's successive regimes, no matter how hard they were likely to fight back. In 1977, almost 1,000 troops attacked his home, set it on fire, fractured his arm, leg and skull, and threw his 82-year-old mother out of a first-floor window.
Very well. Him take all politicians. Where rule Nigeria before? Disable politicians.
Fela Kuti died in 1997, but his famous club and his fight are continued by his son, Femi Kuti.
Issues of your dad's day were? What are the issues today for you and for Nigerians or Africans?
You go into the slums of Nigeria, you don't see hope. 40 years of independence, we still cannot provide lights constantly for 24 hours in one day. Change is inevitable, so the change will come. Basically, hopefully it will not be bloody. Hopefully it will just be a very easy change. I mean, because when blood flows, you never know when it will stop, and then the hatred continues for years and years.
I thought the oil money must be providing decent healthcare for Nigerians, although coffins were on sale right outside the gates.
Why are these being sold across the road from the hospital?
As if you have an emergency, it's a good chance you'll die, so you might as well buy it. Why go halfway across town?
Is that what you think? If you're in an emergency, there's a good chance you'll die? Not there's a good chance you'll be saved?
Let me just put it this way. Healthcare system is not up to scratch.
It didn't look like much, although I was about to be told that Nigeria was providing the very best emergency equipment for its citizens and that no expense was spared.
We operate on the hotline. First in West Africa, first in Africa.
This switchboard is for the whole of Lagos?
Yes. We cover all the Lagos states and Lagos state environments like the Ogun state and Oyo states. You see, by the time that they are coming, they will be telling us what is going on and they will be relating the vital signs of these victims to the control one. The control one moves immediately to the system. Please come over. This gentleman was involved in a road traffic accident, and you can see us working hand in hand in emergency to save life.
So, I mean, Nigeria is quite well known for being very bureaucratic. It's very difficult to organise things. But this is an example of different agencies and areas working together,
Yes.
being coordinated.
Yes. Not only are we coordinating, what we are saying is that we can co-opt the other agency.
Which is putting him under anaesthetic.
Yes.
And they're trying to stabilise him.
Yes.
Looks like he's dying.
This is the intensive care unit where we have all the equipment to sustain life. They can do ECG, they can do fibrillations, they have monitoring that monitors a lot of things. Yeah. You can see the attendants happy to work. You can see it. That's the way we work in emergency for 24 hours. We don't really feel it. We are ready. You can see the man attendant ready to work.
Happy working here?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the radio phone. That is the antenna. That is the control room. And that is the backup generator.
And no matter what emergencies come in, you're equipped to deal with them?
Yes, no matter what.
But I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it doesn't look like the hospital of an oil-rich state. Of a state which has got hundreds of billions of dollars in oil money. And I know you've got everything you need here,
but we still need more.
Yeah.
You know, in health, there's no limitation in health.
He then took us to one of 15 old Peugeot ambulances stationed around Lagos.
Everything is Charlie, confirm that.
What does Charlie mean?
Everything is cool and calm.
Cool and calm.
Yeah, there's no problem.
Yeah.
We can decide to change our language. We can say that the ocean is clear because we don't want them to know our signs.
Why do you have to say that in code?
Why do you have to say it in code? That differentiates us that we are professionals. It differentiates us that we have the common language. It's our own sign.
Despite the many problems Nigeria is facing, it's the sheer tenacity of people like him that would always keep things from finally falling apart.
This is from Chinua Achebe.
Yeah.
He's probably the most famous Nigerian writer.
Yeah.
Nigeria is not a great country. It's one of the most disorderly nations in the world. It is one of the most corrupt, insensitive, inefficient places under the sun. It is one of the most expensive countries and one of those that give least value for money. It is dirty, callous, noisy, ostentatious, dishonest and vulgar. In short, it is among the most unpleasant places on earth.
But he would rather live in Nigeria. That's the irony of it.
He would rather live in Nigeria.
He would rather live in Nigeria. The amount of energy it takes to be productive here, it's just amazing. You have to put in so much energy to get anything done. What really is grating about Nigeria in particular is what everybody keeps saying, that it has the potential to be this, it has the potential to be that. It's meant to be this in Africa, it's meant to be this in the world. And that potential has always been sabotaged at every point in time. And that's what makes it deeply tragic and makes one extremely bitter.
The bizarre legacy of a portly Prince Regent next on BBC4, abroad again in Britain with Jonathan Meades.